Interesting how the people who never show up for your happiness are always the first to show up when they need something from you. My family skipped my son's 8th birthday, no calls, no texts, not even a simple happy birthday. But a month later, they had the nerve to ask me for $2,200 to help fund my brother's graduation party. I didn't yell, I didn't argue. I simply sent them exactly what their presence at my son's birthday was worth, one single dollar. And that dollar changed everything. I've always been the kind of person who believed family came first. As a single parent to my 8-year-old son, I tried to keep everyone close, even when life got messy. I was the one who remembered birthdays, sent thoughtful gifts, showed up to every graduation, wedding, or baby shower, no matter how inconvenient it was. My parents always said family meant everything, but somehow, that rule seemed to apply more to my younger brother than to me. He was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. If he needed money, everyone chipped in. If he wanted advice, everyone listened. But when it came to me, there was always a reason to brush things off. I was the responsible one, the one they assumed didn't need help. Over time, it became clear that no matter how much I gave, I would always be second place in my own family story. Still, I stayed quiet, telling myself that peace was worth more than confrontation. Every family has its favorites, I thought, and maybe being the strong one was my role. But deep down, that quiet resentment grew, especially every time I saw how my efforts went unnoticed while my brother was celebrated for doing the bare minimum. I kept showing up, hoping they'd see my loyalty for what it was, love, not obligation. But I was slowly learning that sometimes, being the dependable one only makes people take you for granted. My son's 8th birthday was something I'd been planning for weeks. He'd been counting down the days, and I wanted to make it perfect, the kind of memory that lights up a child's heart. I decorated our living room with blue and silver balloons, hung a happy birthday, champ banner across the wall, and baked his favorite chocolate cake from scratch. I even called my parents, siblings, and cousins days before to remind them. Everyone said they'd be there. My son was so excited, running around in his new shirt, asking every few minutes if Grandma or Uncle Matt had arrived yet. But as the hours passed, my phone started buzzing, not with arrival messages, but excuses. Got stuck in traffic, my mom texted. Something came up last minute, my sister said. My brother didn't even bother to respond. One by one, their absence became a pattern I couldn't ignore. My son kept glancing at the door, hopeful each time the bell rang, but it was never family. Just 2 of his school friends and their parents showed up, and even they noticed how quiet the house felt. The hardest part came when he looked up at me with those small, confused eyes and asked softly, "Did they forget about me, Mom?" My heart cracked. I smiled, told him they must have been busy, but inside, something broke. That night, after he went to bed, I sat staring at the leftover cake, candles still half melted. Sadness turned into a cold, quiet anger. I didn't yell, didn't call anyone, I just sat there realizing that love shouldn't have to beg to be shown. The party ended, the decorations came down, and so did a part of my faith in what family really means. Just a few weeks after my son's quiet birthday, a message popped up in our family group chat. It was from my mom, written with her usual excitement. "Big news, everyone. We're throwing your brother a huge graduation party next month. Everyone's pitching in $2,200 to make it special. I'll add you all to the payment list." My stomach sank as I read the cheerful tone, not a single word about missing my son's birthday, not even a casual "sorry we couldn't make it." It was like that day had never happened. Within minutes, my siblings started replying with enthusiasm. "I'm in. Of course, he deserves it. Let's make it unforgettable." The assumption that I would happily hand over thousands of dollars stung. I took a breath and replied, "Sounds great, but before we talk about money, I just want to mention, no one showed up for Liam's birthday. He was really hurt." The chat went silent for a moment before my mom finally responded, "Oh honey, that was just a kid's party. This is your brother's graduation, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event." My sister chimed in, "Don't make this about you. We're all busy adults." I stared at my screen in disbelief. They weren't just brushing it off, they were making me feel like I was wrong for caring. That was the moment something inside me hardened. It became painfully clear that my son and I would never be a priority to them, not unless they needed something from us. I didn't bother arguing this time. There was no point trying to make people see what they refused to acknowledge. Instead, I decided to let my actions speak for me. That night, after putting my son to bed, I opened my banking app and scrolled to my mom's account. My fingers hovered for a moment before I typed in the amount, $1. In the note section, I wrote, "My contribution equals the value of your presence at my son's birthday." Then I hit send. No anger, no dramatic message, just quiet truth wrapped in a single dollar. The next morning, my phone lit up with notifications from the family chat. "What's this supposed to mean? Are you joking? You're being petty." I didn't reply. For once, I didn't feel the need to explain myself or defend my feelings. I just watched as their confusion turned into guilt, their tone shifting from outrage to awkward silence. That single dollar said everything words couldn't. It wasn't about the money, it was about finally putting a mirror up to their behavior. And the silence that followed? That was worth far more than $2,200. Within minutes, the family chat was on fire. My mom was the first to lash out, her messages coming one after another. "This is so disrespectful. How could you embarrass us like this?" She acted as if I'd committed some great betrayal instead of sending a symbolic dollar. My brother soon joined in, sending a long, dramatic message about how I was ruining his special moment. "I didn't ask anyone to skip your son's birthday," he wrote. "This has nothing to do with me, so why are you taking it out on the whole family?" I stared at the message for a while, then finally replied, "You didn't ask them to skip his birthday, but you didn't care that they did either." That was all I said. Silence followed for a full minute before Mom chimed in again, this time with guilt-laced words about how I was making everything about myself. But I didn't bite. I'd spent years keeping quiet, playing peacemaker, swallowing disrespect to avoid conflict. Not anymore. To my surprise, a few cousins messaged me privately later that day, saying they understood exactly why I did it. They just didn't have the courage to speak up. That dollar had become a symbol, a quiet reminder of the double standards my family had ignored for years. And for the first time, I didn't apologize or try to make things right. I simply let them sit with their discomfort, knowing it was long overdue. Graduation day finally arrived, but from what I heard, it wasn't the grand celebration my family had imagined. A few photos popped up on social media, fewer people had shown up than expected, and even in the pictures, the smiles looked forced. The decorations were lavish, the setup expensive, but the atmosphere felt hollow. The energy that day wasn't celebration, it was tension dressed up in party clothes. No one mentioned me or the dollar, but I knew they were thinking about it. Even through the silence, it lingered, a quiet reminder of everything they'd chosen to ignore. Later that evening, one of my cousins messaged me privately. That $1 said more than words ever could. That single line made me smile. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel bitterness or regret. Just peace. I hadn't needed to argue, shout, or beg for understanding. I'd simply drawn a line and stood by it. Sometimes, you don't have to fight to make people see your worth. You just have to stop proving it. And when you finally do, the silence that follows speaks louder than any apology ever could. Some people only understand your worth when you stop giving it away for free. I didn't send that $1 to hurt anyone, I sent it as a mirror, to show how they'd treated my son and me. That tiny gesture drew the line they never thought I'd draw. Since then, I've learned that silence and boundaries are the loudest responses you can give. You don't have to match their disrespect with rage, sometimes, all it takes is a single dollar to make your point priceless.